It is time to bolt up. What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here to predict the record for the Los Angeles Chargers in 2022. The Chargers have had an awesome offseason, but will that allow them to take the next step? Will that allow them to make the playoffs and ultimately get where they want to go? Are they the top team in the AFC West? In this video, I'm going to break it down through each individual matchup, the great matchups, the tough matchups, and give you my prediction for each individual game. If that sounds great, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Also, hop in the comments section and let me know how you think the Chargers will do in 2022. Let's pick some games. Chargers fans, it's time to predict your 2022 record game by game. Let's go. But before I do, as tradition here on the channel, here on the Bottom Line View, I must do one thing. Chargers. All right, now I'm ready. Week 1, you play the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, one thing that crosses my mind with the Raiders every time you play them is how the Raiders city used to be Los Angeles, and there's still a lot of LA Raider fans out there. So I'm sure that there's going to be a ton of fans for both teams at this game, meaning that home field advantage is not a big deal. But there is one factor that I do believe helps the Chargers in week 1 versus the Raiders. It's the fact that the Raiders have a new coaching staff and they have a lot of new players. And it's going to take time to gain chemistry in those systems on offense and defense for those new players. With the Chargers, yes, they have a lot of new defensive players, but a lot of the players have played under Brandon Staley before, or they're veteran players that just know how to play football and pick up defenses quickly. Their offense is pretty much intact. So I believe that helps the Chargers in week 1. And I also believe that revenge comes into play here. After basically missing out on the playoffs, losing to the Raiders in Las Vegas, the Chargers play at home and regain that victory. So I'm going to go with the Chargers in week 1. Week 2, you play the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, you split with them. The first game, you upset them. And I believe the Chargers are the more talented team this year. I thought they outplayed the Chiefs twice last year. So I am going to go with the Chargers in this game. I think they've spent the entire offseason building a defense that can slow down Patrick Mahomes and the elite offenses in the AFC. I think that definitely shows in this game. And I think the Chargers have the last laugh in this one. Now, Chiefs are tough to beat. But the first time, I think the Chiefs having a lot of new players, young players on offense also hurts them, as it did the Raiders. Now, week 3, Jacksonville. You should win this game simply based on your talent. You're also at home. Jacksonville has to travel across the country, which is also a factor. Your pass rush should definitely have an effect on Trevor Lawrence. I think the Chargers win that game. Week 4, you play the Houston Texans on the road. I think the Chargers win once again, going 4-0. The Texans are not very good. Davis Mills, weak defense. I think the Chargers should tear them up. Week 5, you play the Cleveland Browns. Biggest factor here, Deshaun Watson. Okay, first game as a Brown potentially. Based on the reports, week 3 or week 4, he may be back. Week 5 is most likely because it's probably going to be a 4-week suspension based on the latest reports. It could be up to 2 years. It could be 8 weeks. It could be 10. It could be a whole season. We don't know. But based on the latest reports of what I've seen, it's going to be 4 weeks. So that's just what I'm judging it off. Now, if it's not Deshaun Watson, this isn't even a question. I'm going with the Chargers. But if Deshaun Watson is playing, it makes it more likely that the Browns may win this game. But being that it would be his first game, I think there's a lot of rust for Deshaun Watson having not played a full season, like in a full season. Plus, he's gaining new chemistry with new teammates and a new offense, and that's just a lot when playing an elite team. On top of that, the Chargers, who are that elite team, beat the Browns last year. Now, that was in LA, I believe, but still, I'm going to take the Chargers. The Broncos at LA. I am going to go with Denver in their first meeting. Monday Night Football, it's at home. But the big thing here is Russell Wilson sometimes has crazy primetime games. And sometimes he just goes wild and he makes crazy plays and he just becomes unstoppable. When Russ is cooking, he's really difficult to stop. And with that Monday Night Football in mind, I do believe that the Broncos could take this one. I think the Broncos are one of the tougher matchups in the AFC for the Chargers, given their strength in the secondary, given how they can rush the passer and play good pass defense, and then Russell Wilson's magic on the other end. So I believe the Broncos will give the Chargers problems this year, and I do think ultimately they will split the season series. They play in the last week of the season, so I'm going to give the Chargers the last game of the season, which might be more important at the end of the day, even though it's on the road. So I'll take the Chargers in the final week. We'll get to that when we get to that. Week 7, they play the Seahawks at home. I'm going to go with the Chargers. The Seahawks, I'm not a huge fan of this year. I don't think they're very good. They don't have a very good quarterback. Geno Smith, Drew Lock, doesn't matter. I think the Chargers are just much better, and plus it's not even in Seattle. So bye week, then you've got the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta is an easy team to come back from a bye with because you play Seattle on the front and then you play Atlanta in the back. So, I mean, those are two pretty easy matchups there. Atlanta's a team where you might be sleeping in the first quarter coming off a bye, a little bit slow, a little bit rusty, and you could still come back and win. That might happen. I've got the Chargers in week 9. Then you play the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go with the 49ers in San Francisco. Reason being, Kyle Shanahan has played Brandon Staley a few times now because Staley was from the Rams, Shanahan, of course, with the Niners, and the Niners have kind of owned the Rams over the last few years. A lot of that has to do with his run scheme, which gives Staley's defenses a lot of issues. And I think that could happen with the Chargers. On top of that, I also believe the Niners have a defense that is strong. DeMeco Ryans is a good coordinator, and their pass rush can get after Herbert and make some plays. So being that it's in San Francisco, I will take the 49ers. Week 11, you play the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs and you guys split. I think Mahomes ultimately just slightly outduels Herbert in one of these games at the end to win it in a close one. Week 12, you play the Cardinals. I think the Chargers win that game. I think that Staley's defense will do a good job containing Kyler Murray with his 2 edge rushers. And by this time, I believe DeAndre Hopkins will be back, but J.C. Jackson should be able to hold him down. Week 13, the Chargers play in Las Vegas. I'm going to go with the Raiders here, so I have you splitting. The Raiders beat you last year at the end of the season. I think that by this time, their offense will be hitting on all cylinders under McDaniels. I think it will be a duel. It will be a shootout type of game. But I think ultimately the home crowd propels the Raiders to a win. Week 14, the Dolphins at the Chargers. Dolphins have to travel across the country. I'm going with the Chargers here. Herbert owns Tua, period. Week 15, you play the Tennessee Titans. Could be a difficult matchup given Derrick Henry, given the ground game of the Titans, given their toughness, given Mike Vrabel. But I'm going to go with the Chargers. I just think Herbert over Tannehill. And I don't trust the offensive line of the Titans playing the pass rush of the Chargers, especially on the road. Week 16, the Chargers go to Indianapolis. I am taking the Colts on Monday night at home. Difficult to travel on the road and win on a Monday night. Primetime setting in a loud environment like Indianapolis in a dome. Matt Ryan having a full season under his belt with Frank Reich and the Colts. Jonathan Taylor being an absolute stud that he is. And the defense is very underrated. Week 17, the Rams. I'm going to take the Chargers here. Call it a Brandon Staley revenge game. His familiarity with Sean McVay and the team will definitely help, while the Chargers are kind of a completely new roster that the Rams won't have much to study. On top of that, this is probably going to be more of a Rams home game than anything else. It's in LA. A lot of celebrities will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm going with the Chargers. I just think overall, it's pretty close in terms of talent. I do trust the Rams to kind of pull out those clutch games, But I just think the Chargers, this is a big statement game for them to make something happen. I think Staley would realize that. So I have them at 12-5 in their record. I think the Chargers are going to be the best team in the AFC West this year. I think they're going to win the AFC West this year. Now, we'll see what they do in the playoffs. That we don't know. But I do think that they're going to make the playoffs. I do think they're going to get one of the top seeds, which means a home game in the first round. And I do think they're going to win this division. I think that it's really competitive. It's going to be separated by 1 or 2 games. Injuries will play a factor. A lot of stuff will play a factor. Schedule, like, injuries depending on when you play certain teams, like a lot of stuff is going to matter here, but I do think that the Chargers are one of the best teams in the AFC, and I think they will showcase that in 2022. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.